Well, good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome you all to the kickoff of the Food for Health and Safety Challenge. As Dimitra already said, my name is Sabine Uil, and I'm the project leader for education of the newly formed alliance of our 4 institutes on higher education: the Technical University Eindhoven, Wageningen University and Research, Utrecht University, and University Medical Center Utrecht. And this is an exciting moment for us because the Food for Health and Safety Challenge is actually the first joint educational activity of this alliance. And as alliance, we feel that we can make a stronger impact in society in both the field of research and in the field of education. And therefore, this challenge especially consists of ample innovative educational aspects that will put you all through. We have organized the challenge with a team of people from all institutes and in collaboration with other partners as well, supported by, of course, the Ministry of Defense, but also the Ministry of Economic Affairs. And besides our side of the organizational part, we are really happy to have this many students here today. You are with 68 students, diverse in many ways. You will hear the details later on, but you're both bachelor and master students studying at almost 40 different programs in the 3 universities. And above that, there are many different nationalities present as well. So therefore, we expect very beautiful things to happen within the 10 student teams that are collaborating in this challenge during the upcoming months. So that having said, let's get started with that. And I would like to introduce you to your course coordinator, Michelle Gerbrands. She will moderate this first plenary session with the Ministry of Defense. Michelle, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sabina. Well, good morning, everybody. And once again, welcome. This is an amazing day online, but I'm really excited to moderate this morning session with you. We start with our former client, Major Maarten Gorthorst, and at 10:30, General Frits van Doren will join us, and you can meet him, and he will share also some information with you. But let's start with the first session where you will get more answers. First of all, thank you for all the interesting questions you have handed in. I was really impressed by all the detailed questions, and you can also add your questions in the chat. Margot and Dimitra will moderate those questions in the chat. Let's see. I can imagine that we have some questions that can't be answered, so don't worry. We still have time during the first expert panel meeting. So all the questions that you have handed in and will not be answered, you can take them with you during the expert panel. So first of all, I would like to introduce Major Maarten Gorthorst. Thank you, Maarten. You all watched his video. So what I'm impressed about is that you also have a lot of experience, Maarten, with the MSK. So I guess you can share also your experiences. You told me that you really focus on creating a new concept of the MSK from more an operational viewpoint. So, and I was wondering if I may ask the first question as a kickoff question. Can you remember the first time you had your first meal that was offered by the MSK?
Yes, good morning all. Thank you for that I can be here today and speak with you. It would have been nice to meet you real life, but given the situation, it is what it is to do it digitally. Hopefully in other upcoming sessions at some point, maybe by the end of June, at least we can meet real life. But I'm happy that I can be here today and answer your questions today, because I'm really looking forward to your ideas. the suggestions you have for that new concept we will be talking about, and I will answer your question soon, Michelle, because that is what we really need. I am the project manager, as you have seen in the introduction videos, for the replacement of the MSK. Yes, I have a team with me. Yes, there are generalists. I'm a generalist as well, because I have no logistical background, and I'm specialist in that team. And of course, together we will work on the replacement. But we are all biased because we work for a long time already in the army, or for a long time already in the logistic field of expertise. So we need those new ideas. We need innovative ideas. So I challenge you really to come up with those, and we hopefully can use as much as them as possible. That's what I wanted to start with. Yes, food is important. It is an emotional topic. Everybody has an opinion about it. Everybody knows you have to eat. You need food. For one, it's more important than for the others. But for soldiers, in specifically, I can say it's highly important. I think we are pretty aware of that. We have to eat a lot during our operational circumstances. I think a lot of soldiers, especially the younger soldiers, they are aware of their body and and that they have to eat proper food as well. And on missions, you can imagine sometimes it's very intense. You need to eat a lot. Sometimes it's boring because you have to wait a lot. And then the meals are a nice break. And sometimes you miss home, you feel lonely, and then food, gives also facilitates a moment to come together and to eat. So it serves a lot of functions. And yes, I can remember that I got my first meal from the MSK that we are using now. That was on my first mission when I was in Afghanistan, on my first day. And I think every soldier that has been on mission can really clearly remember his first day in a country far away. And we have been in Uruzgan, as you probably all know, in the poorest province of a very poor country, and that world looked like a movie. And for my feeling, I stepped into a movie, and after a long patrol, I was very impressed by all those things I've seen, the poorness, the situation down there, the kids walking on bare feet in the snow. We came back to the camp. We got our meal, and I felt like, there's nothing to complain about our situation. We got good food, we have nice shoes, so it was a huge difference compared to what we saw outside of this camp. So to put it in perspective.
Thank you. Okay, I have a lot of questions, so I just start with some questions, and I will also, if you have answer of handed in that question, you can also join the discussion. Geke Lobrecht, it's in line with what you already mentioned, Maart, is that Geke Lobrecht has a question about how do soldiers experience food during those missions. You also mentioned that it's a very emotional aspect, food. Maybe you can elaborate on that more?
Yeah, I think Geke, it's a good question. Because it touches the emotion that comes with a dinner, with a meal, every meal from breakfast. We also eat at night, of course. We are on night patrols or on a mission at night. You can also imagine that sometimes you have to walk and patrol during the whole night. So then a warm meal is very welcome. So a lot of emotion comes with every meal, and that's why we talk about it. It's always also a surprise. At home, you will prepare your own meal. You do your own groceries, so you know what's on the menu. On a mission, you don't. You get what is available. You get what others have produced for you. So it's also a kind of surprise as well. What do we get today? And from my personal experience, we talk a lot about it. for the different functions I just mentioned, the break of the boringness, the social function when you feel lonely or you want to intensify the feeling within your team. We all go out for dinner, well, after Corona, with friends, you know, to have that nice feeling of being together. So it has a real social function. And also, on the other hand, it has to feed us at the end of the day. That's the main function, of course. It has to feed us. But of course, there are a lot of developments in the food industry as well. So people are getting more and more aware of their bodies. Soldiers have to physically perform as well. So it is well discussed. And I think we also can make some improvements in the current concept of the MSK and the meals we provide to soldiers. So from my personal experience, yes, we are happy to eat, but we're also looking forward to a concept where soldiers have more variety, can choose and pick more personally, and have more and better taste in the food that is provided now to soldiers. I want to make one split. Yes, we eat, of course, these meals under operational conditions. But if the soldiers go out and are in a long patrol on a mission, or maybe in a conflict where they have to fight, of course, we don't have time to eat from a nice kitchen somewhere in containers close by. We eat in a break of the moment, quickly, something we have with us, and that is always pre-packed, pre-fabricated. So there are also moments operationally that we have not the luxury to eat from the MSK.
Okay, yes, I can imagine. That's a totally different context. You have to, provide food to the soldiers. Yeah. You're mentioning a few aspects of the food, and Marloes Burg, she's wondering what kind of limitations and drawbacks did you experience concerning the food?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that is of course a personal question as well, which is fine, and I think I can represent here the majority of the soldiers, at least that I know of, and that's quite a lot, because you meet each other a lot on those missions I've been to. But I think one of the drawbacks is that there is little variety in the food. I think in the next Q&A session, Bardine will probably tell you more about what kind of foods and different types we have. And that's probably more than I have ever experienced. But realistically and practically, there is little choice. And little variety also within this box you get. Of course, you see different things. They should have different tastes, but it kind of tastes more or less the same. So variety within the boxes is also very much appreciated. And there is no fresh food. It's all regenerated. So I think a combination would be highly appreciated when possible, when there is time, when there is supplies. But at least I think more options in the way how food can be produced and provided would be highly appreciated. Yeah.
Okay. Margot, did you already wanted to ask a question that was posted in the chat?
No, not yet.
No, not yet. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's clear. Esme Janssen, she also wants to ask you a question about the financial part, because you mentioned in the presentation that the solution must be affordable. And she's wondering in what price range she must think, because I can imagine that you can all develop very nice solutions, but it must be affordable and feasible in that sense. Can you share some more information concerning the financial part of the assignment?
Yeah, a little, because you can imagine that I cannot give you the exact budget that is available for this project for commercial reasons. But it is somewhere between 25 and 35 million euros that you can calculate with. And I think it's interesting to know that we plan for missions of a maximum of 10,000 soldiers. So the current mobile satellite kitchen, the MSK, feeds 250 people with 4 meals per 24 hours. So currently we need, in the current concept, 40 MSKs. But that is not fixed. That just gives you a thought of the budget related to how many soldiers you have to feed, because that relation is important, of course. That 10,000 people, that doesn't change. So that is what you can calculate with, related to those budget range between 25 and 35 million euros. Baseline is that you have to think of this effect. The effect should be, at the end of the day, that we have to feed a lot of soldiers in little time with a mobile concept that has to be operated by as less people as possible. That is the effect that you should fulfill with that budget for 10,000 people.
Okay. Thank you for elaborating on that question. There are also some questions concerning the MSK. So there are a lot of students who would really like to know if there are certain main advantages that you would like to keep if you look at the MSK. And on the other hand, Anne Jan is asking if a total turnaround is also possible. So are they obliged to really work with some mandatory conditions or demands that you're setting as a formal client, or do they have freedom to just develop a complete new concept?
Yeah, I think the good thing about the current MSK is that it is really fast. It really delivers the numbers of meals we require. And it's a complete system. It's a complete system, a whole kitchen in one container. I mean, that's great. It has the steam ovens. It has the water supply in it. It has all the food supplies in it. It's on a truck, so it can be moved. It can be set off from the truck on a flat track. So it is really flexible. And the other good thing about the MSK is that it feeds per container 250 soldiers. So it's a modular system, as mentioned. You need 40 to add up to those 10,000 people. So that modular concept, that is what I really favor. And in some way, we need a modular concept because 10,000 soldiers is the maximum. If we bring 1,000 soldiers somewhere on the globe, we want to add a logistical slice that supports 1,000 soldiers, not 10,000 soldiers. So we have to stick to this modularity in some way, with the new concept as well. That is important. A total turnover, yes. The more you turn over, the better from my part, given the guidelines you received from me earlier. But yes, it is about the effect. So if you focus on that effect, I will be happy. And the more it's without the box, without a frame, the better we can use it, because what's in the box, probably my team comes up with it themselves already. So if it's out of the box, it will add to our imagination. So please feel free. But yes, it also has to be produced by the industry. It should be a feasible, a realistic concept at the end of the day. And I also made a split in the second movie we taped. Like, okay, we replaced the kitchen in 2023, so that a concept should be feasible. But 15 years later, again, we will replace that concept. So I would be happy to already receive your thoughts on what should be done in 2038. It seems far away, but for us it is not. We should think ahead. So if you, of course, it should be, it is probably less detailed, but if you already have an outline of how that new concept should be like, please feel free and let me know.
Okay. Are there questions, Margot, in the chat?
We have one question from Lotte. It's about the energy use of soldiers. But maybe that's a better question for Berdine to answer in the next hour. Because she, or Martin, if you feel like answering, but the question is, how do you deal with variable energy use in certain exercises? For example, sometimes soldiers might use 5,500 calories per day, but other times it might be 2,600 from what I saw in the library.
Yeah, I think that is a good question. I think Bardine can speak more of it, but it relates to the earlier question. What is the drawback of the current MSK concept? And that is there is not much variety. You get a portion, and a portion is a portion, so you cannot personalize it. And I think one of the requirements, wishes, as you will, nowadays is that people can really personalize more their meals than we did in the past. So not only the MSK should be modular as a concept as a whole, but also you can think of a modular meal system with snacks, with energy bars, drinks, food, salad, the fresh part, anything that together can be put as a meal would really fit us, because we have people, they are working in a operation container. They are with the radio, they guide the troops in the field, but themselves they sit on the chair the whole day. They don't need that much food. It's even better to not even offer it to them, because you get fat and you don't want that. But the soldiers that are be guided by that guy in the field, they walk a lot with 40-50 degrees in Eurosgan, as I mentioned. They will burn a lot of calories, and they even need more than that standard portion that the MSK provides. So personalization is important, and I think Berdine can speak more of it.
Okay. Thank you for answering this question. I think in the next hour, Berdine can elaborate more on the personalization and also how students can use this condition in their assignment. Are there any more questions, Margot, so far?
Another question about the meals, but I think it's also nice for Berdine to answer in the next hour.
Yeah, okay. You already mentioned, Mart, that it's all prefabricated meals. And you also mentioned that a combination of fresh ingredients in combination with already important ingredients could be the ideal situation. Did you do research on the combination, and how can students use this condition in a solution? Because there are a lot of, I think, safety issues as well if you want to buy local ingredients and use those ingredients in the preparation of the food for the soldiers.
Yeah, of course. We have specialists that are trained and educated to go to local markets and buy the proper food, and also test that food before soldiers are fed. And I think that is a good thing, and we will continue doing that. So we will never take that risk, because we have a real issue when all the soldiers get ill. On one hand, and I know it is possible. For example, our Navy does this already for decades, ages. They always buy local produced food in combination with the stocks they have, and they prepare their meals on board or of their vessels. And also from my experience, as you can have seen in my introduction movie, the second one of our missions, I've been sailing with the Navy for 5 months, hunting pirates along the coast of Somalia. Very interesting, especially for an army guy. And I was really charmed by the way how they feed their people, especially when you're an officer in the officers' mess. They even serve you. But I think with very basic ingredients, because they have not a lot bigger budget, with the basic ingredients and the same standard food in the rest of the armed forces we get together, with a lot of creativity, they came up with real good food. So I think if you have because they have different kitchens, of course, but that fresh part combined with the pre-packed, that it gave already a complete different experience, how we perceived the food. So with my team, we were really charmed how they made it. Yeah.
So what is the essential difference then between cooking on a ship, if I may, or I'm not sure if I pronounced it correctly, and MSK? I can imagine that you have more storage on a ship, but what is the reason that concept at sea is not transferred to the land in that sense?
Yeah, because at sea you have different circumstances. It's a fixed kitchen. There's not so much climate conditions involved, because food safety is an important thing. So a kitchen on a ship is large. They have more space, of course, and also different ways to produce that food. They have real stoves, real ovens, because there is space to have it all there, and there is also more time for them to produce it. As I mentioned, the soldiers in the field, they come at some point, they have little time, they should eat a lot with a lot of people and then go. On a ship, everybody's on that ship for a longer period of time, so there's more time to differentiate in time frames to feed everybody in a certain schedule. So the layout of the kitchen is different. The time that people can eat is different. The time that is available for people to eat. So there's quite a lot of differences. But the thing I think that we can learn from it is that even with a little bit of freshly made food, and a salad is easy to produce, but it's freshly made in combination with pre-produced food, because that we will use the pre-produced food. That's the main thing that the kitchen will use, because I see no other solution to feed soldiers in little time in that numbers. That is already a big advantage compared to what we do now. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Are there more questions, Margot, in the chat?
Yeah, we have two similar questions related to how other countries and other armies of other countries, what kind of concept they use. If it's similar to an MSK or if it's different.
As far as I know, I don't know all the countries, of course, but the countries I know from, they use a kind of same concept as the MSK. For example, we are in close contact with the Germans. They're also now in the phase of procuring a new mobile field kitchen. It has, of course, a little bit different name. So we are really looking at what they buy, but basically it is more or less the same concept. Okay, it's 2 containers. They need 3 people. They produce a little bit more waste maybe, but basically it looks a lot like what we have now. But that does not necessarily say that is the best concept, because we copy each other in a way. So the first ones that come up with a complete turnaround might be setting the baseline for other countries to follow. But I would challenge you to also do your research and look at other countries, what they produce and what manufacturers already have, or what they can, what they are planning to do in the near future, and that we can use, because like I said, it should be affordable. So if it's already made and if it used technology, of course it's cheaper than something that has to be developed. And on the other hand, it should be produced. The manufacturer should be able to make it. So that's something that needs to be checked. Otherwise, it's not feasible at the end of the day.
And so you mentioned the budget of 25 until 35 million for the concept, but Annie Jane was wondering if there's also a budget, so a price per soldier per day for a meal.
For the meal itself?
Yeah.
I don't know. It probably is. I don't know. I think in the Q&A in the next one, maybe you can get that answer. And if they're listening now and they can look it up. What price exactly? I don't know.
Okay. And then I have another personal question. So what's the favorite MSK meal you have ever had?
I think my favorite has always been the poffertjes, especially for the Dutch people. They probably recognize, you know, these mini pancakes with this warm applesauce on it. That we didn't get it that often, so it really felt like a treat when I received it. We got it, and it of course tastes sweet, nice, and yeah, it felt like a kind of birthday party without the real celebrations, but yeah, that I have good memories of.
Wow, nice question. Are there more questions, Margot?
Yeah, Lucas.
The refrigerator, right? The refrigeration.
Yeah. Lucas asked if there's much refrigeration space in MSK.
I don't know. I've never worked in the MSK itself. Of course, I've seen it. I was normally a client of it. I got the meals from the MSK, but I've not been an operator. Or I think in the next session, those people are much more really into the concept and has also been involved in the MSK development as it is and as we use it nowadays. So my project, it did not really kick off. I will kick off like next month, because currently within the army, which is the main user, you could say, but also the ones that have this unit integrated in the army that operates the mobile satellite kitchen and also will operate the successor of the mobile satellite kitchen. So they are the ones that are now thinking of, okay, what is needed? What do we demand? What guidelines do we would like to give? Of course, I have contact with those people for sure. But if they are ready by the end of March, they will hand over this document like, hey, this is what we think it should look like. And it's, of course, it's the basis of the ideas. And then I will kick off with my project on the Ministry of Defense level. And then I will enlarge this group of people to form my project team. And together with them, we go into the budget. We will look at feasible options. We make the business case as a whole. We transform it into functional requirements, functional demands. We check with the market what is possible, what is feasible, and that is a process that is a very intense process. It takes a couple of months, and let's say around summer, after summer, so that's why June is perfect. I can really integrate your ideas and thoughts in it, and then I hand it over to our defense material organization, and then I will order them to, okay, this is This is the functional requirement. This is the business case. This is the budget you get. These are the risks involved with it, etc., etc. Now it's up to you to really approach the market and make sure we get what we ask for. And then they will start. And that will take a couple of months before they really make the deal, make the contracts. And then, of course, the manufacturer has to start producing it. And then it's 2023, and then we will get those new kitchens. And it will be nice to have you all over and have a taste of the new meals in the new concept.
Okay, great. Well, we hope that we can meet up in Oorschot on the second event, but let's see what if we can tackle that issue. So I'm really curious also about the food. Are there more questions, Margot, so far in the chat?
Yeah. So you mentioned that one mission can be up to 10,000 people, but well, approximately how many people are there in total? So all missions combined. Do you have an idea?
Well, nowadays, I don't know exactly if the question, whether the question is about the missions we do nowadays. Nowadays, it's not up to 10,000 people. That's the maximum we can send to mission areas at some point. I think that altogether now we have 2,000 people abroad in various missions. And the overall armed forces, I would say, also with our civil employees altogether, it's 55,000. So, but not all people will be sent on missions, of course. So this 10,000 is what you should calculate with. And I mentioned the modular concept is important for us because those 10,000 people, they can spread all over. They can spread all over the world. So a group of people can be in Afghanistan, a group of people can be in Mali, a group of people can be in Yemen, a group of people can be in Lebanon, whatever they are required to go to. Or those 10,000 people can be sent all of a sudden to Ukraine to operate there altogether. That we never know. But we have to be flexible and we have to be modular because we cannot assess and know for sure where we will be sent to.
Okay.
I hope that is an answer to that question. Otherwise, the one who asked that question should rephrase it a little bit if I did not give the answer.
Then we have a few questions that go more into detail about the meals, so maybe it's best to keep them for later. Michelle, if you have a question that was submitted online, you could go ahead.
You mentioned earlier that you said that when you start eating the food from the MSK, that eventually and gradually it all tastes the same. Can you elaborate on that more? Because what I can imagine that the food maybe tastes the same or tastes differently, but what makes it that it all tastes the same? Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, of course, it does not all taste the same. I exaggerate a little bit on that. What I meant, of course, I mean, you have a kind of small pizza roll. You have this freshly baked bread. Bread tastes great. You have this little pancakes, these mini pancakes, the F4HS with applesauce, all good. But I think the real meals, like the dinner meals, especially, whether it's the pasta, the real typical Dutch food, whatever, what's in the box, like potatoes, vegetables, some meat, it has not that strong taste. And the differences between those three components in it was not really distinguishing. So maybe because of the regeneration process, and because it's in one box, it's not separated. I think the taste, the flavor, the smell, it got all mixed. And it's you don't have to really feeling, okay, if I put this piece of food in my mouth, it's completely different than that other piece of food. And that's what you normally like when you go out for dinner, so to say, or eat at home, that you have different flavors, different spices, different experiences eating that food. And that's what you really miss. And of course, it's sometimes or one night or one dinner, it's not a problem at all. But bear in mind that people are on a mission for 6 months, 4 months, 9 months, or even longer. And then you are really gonna miss it.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And okay, that's clear. Are there any more questions, Margot, in the chat?
I'll take a look for you. Let's see. Have you ever skipped a meal because you didn't like it?
Well, I didn't. I did not eat all the meals completely, I would say, but I'm very easy on food, and I know it's important. You have to eat at the end of the day. You need the energy that comes with it. So it's not that disgusting at all. I mean, it's not bad, and I think it's also the moment it comes with it. It's rewarding. It's nice. So it's because it has not that much flavor. It's not disgusting at all. But the thing is, it has not that much flavor. So it's not a moment you really look forward to as it could be. And I think that is one of the improvements we are looking for. And I think we are making some small steps because we recently revised a lot of meals. Things have changed. I think Bardine can tell you everything about it. So please ask that question to her. I have no experiences with the new meals because they are really recently introduced. So we are aware of it. And we are also aware that in the food industry things change, that you can really more personalize nowadays food. Also those pre-packed foods are getting better and better and better. So there's a lot that will be in our advantage. But now it's time to really bring it together in one concept, use it, and make the soldiers, more happy, serve them better, because at the end of the day, they serve us better. So it's a give and take.
Yeah. And another question: do you think a change in packaging could be a solution?
Say again, the change of?
In packaging of the food.
Yeah, I think that's another thing. How it's served, how it's presented. It's important. That's the first impression you get. So having it all together in one simple box, it really looks very simple. So it could be a little bit more, bring a little bit more happiness with a different way of presenting it. Eating from a box, well, I don't know how often you do it at home, but I never do it from a kind of black box thing, peeling off the top layer and then eating it. So I think people, want to do a little bit with it, maybe open something, put some sauce on it. It's also kind of personalization. Eat it in a different way. So I think the way it's packed, it's presented, I think there can also be made some steps in it.
And then another question about the meals. I don't know if you can answer it, but I'll just ask. So are the meals adjusted to the climate of the areas of different missions? So for example, hot weather or cold weather?
Yeah, and also in the new with the new meals range, there is a summer menu, there's a winter menu, there is even vegetarian, halal, kosher menus. There is single portions, so per person, well, but always the same sizes. There's multi-portion, so a lot bigger boxes that can be served from on a plate. There are snacks. So the menus are there. I think there's nowadays getting a little bit more variety, more choice. But I think, and please ask Berdine, but I think it's still the same sizes and one size fits all concept behind it. I think that is something that can change.
Okay, thanks for answering that question.
Auke already responded to it, but one question was, is there a lot of food waste, or do soldiers not waste anything? Do you know something about that?
Yeah, I think the question is for me, right?
Yeah, for Martin, yeah.
Yes, of course. I think everywhere food has been eaten, there's also some waste. But of course, we try to minimize it as much as possible. And I think this MSK concept, of course, it's already, I think, set up 15 years ago. So in the meantime, there are more insights how we can reduce waste more and more. And I think that's also one of the topics that is really important for the new concept, to reduce waste, waste of water, waste that we have to really bring somewhere or to burn, because we want to reduce our logistical footprint as much as possible, because all food that has to be brought from A to B has to also in certain circumstances has to be secured. That costs operational capacity. Operational capacity, like soldiers, that has to protect it, that we cannot order to go somewhere else to do the job, and there's a risk involved. So we really try to reduce everything we need, everything we that we can save on it. It would help us a lot. So that accounts for energy, that accounts for waste, that accounts for water, everything. The less, the better. And I think years ago, this MSK concept was really good in reducing it. But I think, yes, now 2021, and when we need this in 2023, it's time to make the next step in it, and to see what techniques we have nowadays in waste reduction that we can use for it. So that is one important thing to think of when you come up with a concept.
Okay, thank you. Are there more questions, Margot, so far?
We had some questions of students who were wondering, since there's a fixed meal, if the soldiers are always full after their meal, and if not, if they can get some extra food.
Yeah, well, that's a very, very personal question as well, because I know many soldiers that cannot eat this MSK single portion meal for, let's say, 60-70% or more, and I know soldiers that eat them completely and still look around if some colleagues have left a little bit of it. So there's a huge difference between one another, as you probably know from your friends and family as well. Some eat half a plate, some eat well, maybe even two when they're hungry, and it also, of course, depends a lot on your activity that day. Like I mentioned earlier, have you been working out? Have you been on a long patrol? Have you been even on a night patrol that you want to eat even 4 meals within 24 hours instead of 3, what you would do normally? Or have you been that guy with that radio headset, sitting on his chair all day and moving almost well, nothing except from going to the toilet back and forth, maybe? So there are huge differences, but I think in general this single portion is quite a lot, and if we foresee that people really need more than the single portion will provide, then, for example, snacks or something like that can be added to. And of course, we can buy, pre-packed like energy bars or energy candy or some drinks that can be added to that food. But it's not like you can add like a half a portion or 10% more. So that is that personalization part that has been missed currently.
That is an important condition for you as a client, that that the personalization of the food is a priority for students to implement in their solution.
Yes, it's important. Yes, for sure. And I think now we have already a lot of priorities given, and maybe it's not priority, it's requirements of the new concept. We spoke about reducing waste. We spoke about the speed of producing the food for 10,000 soldiers. We spoke about a mobile concept. We spoke about personnel extensive concept. So we spoke about no, we didn't spoke actually yet about that it's also should be challenging for our operators working in the mobile satellite kitchen or a mobile food kitchen concept. We want to please those people as well, that they feel that they are real cooks instead of chefs, even instead of being an operator pushing the button. So also that if you personalize it, they can adjust it more to their clients, which give them, of course, a better feeling than giving everybody the same and handing it over the standard boxes. So I think from both perspectives, it's important, this personalization. It gives the operators much more the feeling that they can make the difference, and it gives the clients the feeling that it fulfills the need, and so they can choose different tastes, they can choose different sizes. A fresh part can be added to it, of course, if there is enough safety and enough time in a conflict situation. Of course, that's the requirement. But I think it's a really important part. We also spoke about that it should be affordable and that the industry can produce the concept. So there's a lot to think of.
Yes, thank you. It's almost 10 o'clock. If you could give the students one last piece of advice, what would you give them as that advice?
Yeah. Well, I hope you have heard all my guidelines, my answers, and everything. But don't stick too much on my answers. Like I said, we're all biased. So step back and zoom out and think of the effect. That is the one and most important thing. Think of the effect. We need a concept that should feed soldiers, those 10,000s, in a short period of time, under operational conditions in that mobile concept, and with as little personnel as needed. If you focus on that, I think a lot of concepts are possible. Think of the short term, 2023, and think of the longer term, 2038, somewhere for the next step. That would be really nice to get back from you. Look around, look what is already available, look what is upcoming in the market, check what competitors, partners of us already use or already planning on, and combine it all together. So use your creativity, don't trap into the bias full, and I'm looking forward to your results. I wish you all the best, and I think we have some in between sessions as well, so yeah, we will see it progressing. All the best.
Okay, thank you very much, Major Gorters, for all your answers and your insights. And also thank you for all the questions that you put in the chat. I think we will collect all the questions in the chat. And of course, you can talk to Major Gorters in the expert panel session that we planned.